All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Monday, October 11th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, this time of the day, hopefully you could hear me, but welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. I believe that we're good to go. I was semi-joking with that, but great to see all of our students and trial members alike inside the live trading room here. Got Patrick, Felix, got Deb, got DM, one of our members here. Mark D picked up just about 21 cents on the ANY stock. Great to see Mark alongside all of us here otherwise now. I see Chuck, Gary, Christopher M joining us now. And hey, if you're joining us back on social media today, Facebook Live or YouTube, got a frog in my throat there. Welcome on back. So let's hop right into the thick of things. It's been relatively slow. At least for the last couple of hours. Morning ended up treating us really nicely. So far heading into the afternoon, I'm up. I haven't really hit my target yet, but I'm up. I can't complain. But it's to say, at least for right now, the GOTU trade, hey, heading into the afternoon with where it's at right now, cheap stock right around $4.22. Got a tight spread, really liquid order book. It's also shortable. If it ends up kind of pulling back and retracing, going the other way, then it could be a good short trade. So for at least right now, this stock, we'll kind of come back to this as we scan across the gainers and losers list. We'll definitely put this on our afternoon watch list, at least here to begin. All right, so we ended up doing pretty nicely on this from earlier. We'll jump back to this perhaps in a moment. But let's talk about a couple of the movers that we ended up getting from earlier today. I just said that Mark D, one of our gold students, picked up 21 cents earlier on the ANY trade. ANY made a hell of a pop after the market opened up. It was called out like prior to the open, and at the time, hey, I call him as I see him. Just it wasn't really making any great move in pre-market. So I'd rather focus on the watch list that we put out first. And then if this ends up, beginning to break a resistance, show a lot of buying, then perhaps and hopefully, and we'd be able to jump in and capitalize on it. Well, it's to say this ended up giving us a lot more than perhaps some of us had even expected, myself included. Ended up topping off right around $7.45. That is not the time, but the price. And that was shortly after 10:30 Eastern time. So normally right around there, we expect stocks to begin to pull back or at least lose the momentum that they once had from the morning. So hey, to see a stock go from 680 up to 745, that's a nice move. And it didn't, or I should say, I didn't think that it couldn't go up higher later on, perhaps a false breakout from 750. But man, there was no false breakout at all. So you could see it ended up perfectly holding, not just over the line here, the former resistance, but really it held perfectly over 750. Move my line up here. You can see it just kissed it perfectly, double touched, and then popped right back up from it. Now, ANY is one of the crypto stocks, so to say, Bitcoin mining affiliated stocks. So I'll jump to Bitcoin at the end here, folks. We'll of course, do our little review about Bitcoin Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, as we typically do here. But hey, Bitcoin ended up making a little bit of a push higher this morning. So this ended up benefiting from it. And right now, hey, as we're talking, so I'm flapping my gums here, this stock just ended up re-breaking above resistance off of 8. I had mentioned that earlier, but now at this point, hey, if it chopped around there a couple of times, if we happen to see a bigger breakout over resistance off of 8, then perhaps this could be the run that we're looking for. So the ANY trade, easily enough, we'll kind of put this on the afternoon watch list, alongside the GOTU trade to begin. PROG, PROG. I don't know about this one heading into the afternoon. Hopefully it ends up popping up for us. But, this was one more from the morning. You could just see as soon as the market opened up, this thing lifted up, ended up calling this stock out as it re-broke above resistance off of $1.50. Now, this is definitely one where I thought it would just kind of false break, come back down. There was some news that came out on PROG from last week, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was this trade where they ended up having a direct offering or common stock offering of shares, and that was listed exactly at 150. Well, that's not bad news for the stock long term, but it's just to say, I didn't know if it was as likely to see this stock break 150 as cleanly as it did, run all the way up towards near 2. So, unfortunately, me personally, a bunch of us live inside the trading room ended up getting 10 cents here, 12 cents there for a cheap dollar stock. That's like a nice trade. That's, close to a home run. Maybe we'll call it a triple, perhaps, if we're following baseball. But, unfortunately, I can't say that I had jumped in on this with you folks. I ended up following a couple of the other trades from earlier today, the EasyFL stock, which we'll get to, the BTBT. I was in on GOTU for a little bit there later on, but I ended up missing the second run up on this trade, at least once it ended up breaking above 170. And, yeah, it seems like a really easy trade, right? So they're not all like that, but man, for right now, this stock's just beginning to chop around. It's making lower highs, pulling back down towards 180. And, although it's kind of holding over 180 there, just maybe it'll come back to this at the very end if we need to. All right, Bill in the chat board says ANY has been a nice swing trade. It certainly seems that way. I mean, just a lot of these Bitcoin-related stocks with the way Bitcoin itself has been moving has been a nice push. And, I say this to everyone here, but there's a few of us that have been longtime students with CTU, much like Grant B from earlier today. I'm sure he'll be joining us at least heading into the close. But, it's to say that we ended up seeing Bitcoin make the run back in 2017. That's why I was so excited about it this cycle. I was recommending Riot as a swing trade, Riot blockchain at $4. History has a tendency to repeat itself. So now in this case, Bill, it's just to say that, from 2017 to today, 2021, there's way more companies that are mining crypto, mining Bitcoin in particular, and are affiliated with it otherwise. Maybe they added it to their balance sheet, whatever it may be. But it's to say that if we ended up seeing these cycles, back in 2017 and perhaps even before that in 2013 into 14, why can't it happen today in 2021? No. All right. So the ANY trade definitely for the afternoon, definitely going to put it on our list, and hopefully a couple of the other crypto mining stocks. We'll go through them in just a moment, folks. What we'll do is just start from the top and just go right from top to bottom. The crazy one, PTGX, and even right now it still has like a thin order book, bit of a spread here and there, albeit it is pushing up pretty nicely from 34 up to 37, a false breakout just now from 37. So listen, hey, I put it on the watch list earlier today for anyone that was, daring and brave enough to try and jump in on a smaller lot position. Me personally, I mean, I would have been interested in it, but my attention was more on some of the other stocks from the morning watch list, the NAOV, the EZFL, like I had said, the VYGR, perhaps we'll get to that. That's actually on the loser side right now, down near 14%. But hey, for right now, this stock, I'm more interested in it now with where it's at here heading into the close, near the highs, testing 37. It's possible to see this try and ascent up higher and fill the gap on the way up. So yeah, PTGX, we'll slip on here. All right, so these two are buyouts, right? The ADMS, FLXN. I was even reluctant on putting FLXN on the watch list, although I did. But this is the consequence. This is what happens when a company gets bought out, 99.9% of the time. Just a complete flat line. That's it. FLXN, there's a little movement after the open, dropped off. A little short trade at first, but super flat after. So, I guess there could have been a trade on this actually from the 955 price level that we were commenting on early in pre-market. There was like 100,000 share print filled early in pre-market on the bid there. So once it broke below that price, I'm not going to zoom in right now, but it's just to say that led to the short. That was a nice trade. All right. So right now the GOTU stock still kind of making lower highs. It is shortable. If it ends up dropping back down here, this could be a nice little short trade down to 4. If it doesn't pop soon. ANY chopping around 8 still, I could see. The OCUL trade shortable, but not much happening right now. I mean, hey, I say this all the time with the market, up, I would expect more stocks to be on the gainer side. With the market down and dropping and near the lows right now, the day, I would assume for there to be more on the loser side. But I will say, actually, as I say that, this one, SoFi, that's right. So SoFi is one of the few that are kind of going against the grain right now, pushing up, as you could see, pretty nicely. One of our students had messaged me earlier about this, and it was at the time, like right here. And I told him, you got to wait for it to build up a little bit. And I thought at the time that it wasn't going to pull back down closer to 18 and 1810. So for that student, I don't know if he's in right now from 1810. He had noticed and called out a big iceberg order to me from level 4. Right now, obviously, it made the slingshot from there. It broke back over the resistance here at 1825, and it's pushing up pretty nicely for right now. So yeah, definitely the SoFi stock. We'll put it on our main list. And in the meantime, let me private chat that student. All right. Cool. See what else we got here, folks. Again, I wouldn't expect for there to be a whole laundry list of stocks on the gainer side right now. AMPY, perhaps another one that was holding pretty strong, at least into the early onsets of the afternoon. Kind of a spotty chart, but we're familiar with this stock now. We traded it back from last week, if not even the week before, maybe it was Monday last week, where news came out in relation to them being held liable for an oil spill, their rig, I think it was. But then it was actually announced that same day, heading into the market close, that it actually wasn't their rig that ended up, at least, causing that spill. Nonetheless, it ended up making a nice big pop at the end of last week into this morning, and ended up breaking out. So we had called this out heading into the late morning to early afternoon. It's holding under resistance off of 4. So it's a good setup. I mean, hey, if we don't really see much momentum off the breakout from 4, then I would just say, hey, I would hold off on it. But if we do happen to see a lot, then this could lead for a nice trade into the close. The only thing I will say, how about this? I will say something I'm just catching right now. $4.12, the high back from August 11th. 420. Okay, I thought those were a lot closer in terms of their highs. Still, though, 420, a double top here, and then ended up leading to the breakout later on. But yeah, if this breaks above 4, maybe a 420 could be a backup resistance ahead. I'll slip it on our list here at the back end here, the AMPY. I like the SoFi trade a lot more, the ANY trade as of now a lot more. GOTU. All right. I said this could be a good short heading into the morning and also heading into the close right now. It seems like a better trade at this point. Right now, it ended up making it, or at least from earlier today, it led to a nice drop off. Once the market opened up, ended up pretty much tanking from 732, the high, down to a low of just about 675. And for right now, holding underneath major resistance off of 7, dipping back down a bit. I don't know the news on this stock, folks, and not to sound like a jerk or whatnot. I'm just going to make use of my time. I don't really care. It's just a matter of right now, this stock is dropping back down. It has a tight spread. It's relatively cheap within our price range. It's shortable, coming off of obviously some sort of bad news. If it ends up popping back over 7, then perhaps you could see some little dead cat bounce, little continuation maybe. But I don't know. It's down 11%. It's not like it's down like 40+% like Lucid warrants are. You know what? That's pretty odd. Really quick, I'm not going to take too much time on this either. Lucid warrants here, Lucid Motor warrants down 40+%. And hey, maybe you folks have the answer to this. I just do not. Lucid, the equity, is only down 2.2%, whereas the warrants are just getting drilled. I don't know why so much on the warrants, but for right now, hey, with where this stands right now, it's at a critical support level right now off of 2270. It's been teasing this drop from earlier in the day, so Lucid definitely going to put this on our main list, as I'm kind of just like, looking back on this trade right now. All right, going to jump to YouTube first because, again, my apologies from Friday afternoon. So we got RJF asking about DATS, DATS. And, well, for right now, I guess it's pushing back up. It did make a really nice recovery, practically a full recovery from the second big drop that it had from 1250-ish. It had a big drop at first off the false breakout from 1350. It's a sideless stock. It's nothing that's really, like, making me too interested in it. It has a steady trend to off the lows, but we've seen it trade a lot faster. Even from this morning, we had called it out at least. For right now, though, I'm not too keen to put this on the main list there. Grom at 450 says, Norman, I'd say the same on this as I'd say on DATS, but cheapy, it's pushing up. CRVS, it is up 12+%. I failed to mention this from earlier. I didn't type it in the chat board, but I put it up on the screen for a bit as I was just reading my Benzinga Pro Signals page. But yeah, ended up making a nice push from earlier today. For right now, I don't know. I mean, it's steady off the lows, pretty much same comment as I'd made on DATS, but I don't know. Right now, I'm not too particular on this just yet. These are all good sideless stocks, though. The DATS, the CRVS, Grom, for right now at least. And if any of those end up making a big push, then we'll definitely focus on it more. All right, folks, going to flap my gums a bit about Bitcoin in the process. If there's anything else that you see in the stock market, that is, let me know. Type it in the chat board. But actually, because of Friday and that whole debacle where I wasn't able to get the audio running, and I knew at that point if there was an issue with StreamYard, I would have to close the meeting, and unfortunately, that's it. I want to go over a couple of things here on Bitcoin before we finish up. So the hourly chart we're back on. This vertical line represents the last time we were talking about Bitcoin back from Wednesday last week on the 6th. So long story short, since it was pretty much a whole bunch of nothing. I mean, it was holding strong, making higher lows, a couple little wiggles up here and there. But now I'd say just from, overnight, from late last night into this morning, Bitcoin ended up re-breaking above 56,000. And, it's on the way up towards the lines I drew up here, folks. 58.3 to 60,000, that range of resistance I have is the next critical level ahead. I think by the end of this month, we end up closing above 65, but that's just my prediction. So, if I'm wrong on that, no problem. I mean, hey, it's a marathon, not a sprint still. So, yeah, I mean, just looking at the 6-hour chart, you could see it's getting pretty close back up to the resistance that we had back from late March going into April time, right around 58.5, 58.3, and then just really, of course, psychological level 60. But let me jump back to the hour chart here because I want to focus on something. I'd made a comment on this back here, probably back from the week before, maybe even that Monday, the 4th there. But it's to say that, hey, on the hourly chart, we ended up seeing a good crossover between the green line, the 100 EMA, and I mean, really, you could say both the 200 in yellow and the 500 in orange. It broke, through both. Well, the last time I commented on something like that, it was more on Cardano, ADA, but obviously Bitcoin made the same move on the hourly, where it ended up breaking over a very bullish sentiment here, and it led to that next leg up. Now, back on the 4th, when I commented on that and said that there's a pretty good chance that we're going to see this repeat, I thought there'd be more of a tussle. I thought there'd be a little bit of a tussle here at first, bigger shakedown perhaps, but man, ended up breaking out, popping up, and obviously here today making a stronger run now. So, I'm sure we're going to have a little turbulence, little resistance around 58.5 to 60,000. Perhaps we get a big shake from there. Then the real slingshot to make a new all-time high. That's simply just a thought. Who knows what will happen? But I think at this point, all of the FUD is over with. All of the bad press is over with. I think now it's really just a matter of time before some more name brand companies end up announcing that they're adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet. I was definitely wrong about that. About 5-6 months ago, I thought that would have happened way sooner than now. But looking back at it in hindsight, if we jump back to the 6-hour graph, I bet you this is a pretty nice accumulation area for smart money and for institutions and obviously name brand companies. Perhaps this as well. So, even if we don't have any name brand companies announcing that they've officially added Bitcoin to the balance sheet coming up in the next week or 2 weeks, it's only a matter of time. And when that happens, it's going to be a ticking time bomb. It's between that and once they officially list an ETF, which is going to be really soon, probably in the next 10 days, I think, get it approved. But I think those are going to be 2 big catalysts there altogether. Now, folks, let me know if there's anything else up, down, left, right that you would want me to check out or anything that did pop or drop as I was kind of talking there. Checking right now, Benzinga Pro. I see too many good ones out there. Oh yeah, I saw this from there we go, Bill. Bill wrote there was a little FUD this morning, a little bad press actually. And you know what? Now that you said that, I saw that earlier on Twitter, Bill. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin's worthless. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has double the market cap of JP Morgan. So, it is what it is. All right, folks, let me know if there's anything else. And I think that we're just about good to go. I'll personally write Jamie Dixon telling him how well my entries at 41,000 have been. 44,000. Well, that is a good point, Sean. When the power goes out, that's a different story. I know that there is a whole thing, and this isn't necessarily related to Bitcoin, but the whole issue going on in Lebanon, the whole blackout over there. I haven't even read up on it over the last 12 hours. I don't know if they ended up getting that fixed or whatnot, but man, that total blackout in Lebanon. I don't think that would happen here, but you never know. So, all right, folks, I think that just about does it. I didn't really see many other call outs across YouTube, Facebook Live, or of course the live trading room that we have, Cyber Group. So in total, we got 2, 4, 6, 7 stocks to work with so far heading into the afternoon. Got a couple of shorts on our watch list, folks. HYLN, Lucid Motors, both of those are near the lows. And don't write off GOTU as a potential short if that fails to break higher coming up. All right, but for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, YouTube Live, Facebook. I'll probably never get that right, as I never have, but I appreciate you folks sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you're interested in joining Cyber Trading University, feel more than free to do so by going right down to the link on the banner below there, the stream, just to get yourself started on a week-long trial with us. But for John, for Bill, for Norman, for Deb, for Cliff, for Christopher, Gary, and all of us otherwise, just reading the names in the chat board there. I'm going to type the list out to you right now. I'm going to jump on a coaching session right now, or coming up at 3 o'clock. I'll be back on the mic right at 3:30 Eastern time, taking you into the market close. I'll talk to you then.